Meg, what would you say your Mount Rushmore wide receivers at Ohio State of all time would be?
All time. So I got three like off the top of my head. My first one would definitely have to be Chris Carter, just because kind of just the legacy of the wide receiver he is. We're number 2, so I gotta have him in there. He's in the Hall of Fame too, so I gotta have him. Ted Ginn, Michael Thomas. Those are my 3, and then 4. They could go to a lot of guys. Like you could want to name some current ones, or maybe you could name even Coach Hart himself, just because like he had a great career in the league, but just what he's doing now and pumping out all these first-round talents. So maybe I'll go with Coach Hart as my 4th.
Okay. For me, I would probably say some similar guys. I think Chris Carter's OG. Yeah. All the catches he would make. And I was growing up, man, Chris Carter was a dog. You know what I'm saying? So I think that he would have to be up there. Talking about Zone 6 and what he accomplished. Chris Carter got to be up there. For me, I'm gonna go a different route. So I'm gonna go with guys who won national championships. Okay. And I think one guy is very underrated as a receiver at Ohio State is Michael Jenkins. Yeah. I mean, he's holy Buckeye. I mean, what are you talking about? I mean, like he set that team to a national championship. The records he broke here, being a Hall of Famer at Ohio State. I mean, he'd have to be on my list. Devin Smith, very underrated.
I was thinking about saying him, but
very, very, very underrated. I think he's the records he had, and I think every time he scored a touchdown, they were undefeated. I mean, you talk about all those records, and winning a national championship. I think that's unheard of. And I think I'm gonna go with Coach Hart. I'm gonna have to go with Coach Hart only because he's done so much at Ohio State, not only as a player, but now coming back as a coach, and like I said, putting out first rounders. I think he had to be on that list as well.
Yeah. In my game, what traits do you wish you had?
I would say the toughness, man. I was smooth receiver, didn't want to be touched, but I think that you bring a lot of that physicality to the game. I think the toughness, I think your mentality is what really sets you apart from a lot of receivers, across the country, even on our team. I think that leadership kind of bleeds into what, who you are. And I think that's something that is very invaluable to our team. And I think a lot of people see that when they see you play, being on that too, and knowing whatever's going to happen, whether you're carrying the ball, you're blocking on the edges. I think that toughness is something I wish I had when I was a player.
I like that one, man. That's a good one.
Yeah. Now, what would you say, for you being, in your 3rd year and seeing guys now that are behind you, right?
Yeah.
Guys, when you came in, guys were in front of you, right? How would you say you kind of take what those guys that were in front of you were kind of pushing you to become who you are now, and you take some of that information, maybe kind of spice it up to your own flavor, and all of a sudden you're teaching young guys how to become a Buckeye receiver?
Yeah, so just like you and like Coach Hart, you guys say that whatever we do is a direct reflection of you guys. Well, I feel whatever the young guys do is a direct reflection of me. I'm the leader in that room, I'm supposed to be setting the standard, me, Marv, Julian, we all set that standard. Xavier, we all set that standard. So I take great pride in what they're able to do and what they're able to accomplish, not just on the field, but off the field, developing as men, and just learning the culture at Ohio State, learning how to, work ethic and all that type of stuff. So their performance, I feel like, is a direct reflection of me, whether that's in the classroom, on the field, in their relationships, like whatever it is. So I try to give them nuggets and bits and pieces of my life in situations where, I've been in myself and maybe I slipped up or made a mistake. I try to have them learn from those moments. So
I think that's good. I think one thing that really inspires me about you, and even guys on our team, specifically in our room, I know I see before the games, I think, you're really strong in your faith. I think, you guys pray before the games, and, I think it was a special moment. I think on draft day, seeing CJ and Jackson praying, I think how does that really a big piece of who you are, and how does that translate over to your performance on the field?
Yeah, I think another question that we had was like, what's your legacy want to be? So that kind of bleeds into this question, because I know a lot of dudes want their legacy to be tied to their success or how many national championships they won. And like I said, I am unsatisfied and I want those things for myself, kind of just like a selfish reason, but at the same time, the main thing I'm focused on, the main thing I want to be remembered for, is just putting my faith in God and playing for Him every day. That's kind of what I want my legacy to be.
That's great. And I think that's one thing I try to challenge myself for is, how I became a coach, why I became a coach, was to make sure guys understood who they are, the growth and development as young men, but also, I come in big in faith. And so I think, sometimes you guys don't see how much you guys inspire us as coaches. Right. I think our job is to inspire you, and people think that's a one-way street. And no, it's really a two-way street, because sometimes as coaches, we come in here, we struggle. We see you guys struggle as well, but hey man, these guys are putting out their faith, for everyone to see. And I think it inspires me as a coach. And I think, it's very inspiring. I hope that you see that. I hope you know that. If you don't, hopefully my words kind of resonate to you to say, hey man, keep that going, because you don't know what impact that does for people in this building and people who watch you play and see you put your faith, out there. I think it's very inspiring. That's why I became a coach. So I think I'm glad to see you guys do that for the world to see.
Yeah, no, that's definitely dope. I appreciate everything you do, and I think you were a great addition, and just knowing that you're a man of faith too. And even that book you gave us, just little nuggets to just tying back into the faith. I'll ask you this first because you've been here longer than I have. You've been a Buckeye, you've been bleeding, scarlet for longer than I have. So what does it mean to you to be a Buckeye, and what does that tradition mean to you in the culture, and what is it to you?
Yeah, it's a lot of different levels, really. I think you talk about the brotherhood. I think at the end of the day, the guys you go in the locker room with, and you play your games with, that's kind of where it starts. But then you talk about what that means outside of football. One thing that kind of struck me, I want to say it's 2014. I was going to the national championship game when they were playing Oregon and Dallas, and kind of hit me because as a player, sometimes you don't really see right now, like how big Ohio State really is, because you're so focused on really what you're trying to become right now that you don't see some of the hoopla outside of you. So for me, in 2014, I was going to the game, and you're watching ESPN, you're seeing all the fans on the flight, you're going to the hotel, you see all the stuff around it, and you're like, man, I just stepped back. I was a part of this game twice, right? This national championship game. And I didn't realize as a player how really big it was. And so for me, kind of understanding, the band, we don't really get to see the band because guess what, we're in the locker room. So my first game back as a former player at that point, I want to say in 2009, I came to a game and you get to see the band. And it's like, man, this is amazing. I can see why people come to the games to watch the band, right? It's I can see it because I can see it now as, different perspective. So I think for me, I see it now as I get older, and kind of see how you guys are in these chairs, and I was in these chairs as well, and I think it means a lot to me to give back. I know Coach Trussell, my coach here when I was at Ohio State, was big on community and giving back. So I think for me, and I think good to see Coach Hart and Coach Laurinaitis, who I play with here at Ohio State, and I know our Trussell tree is the same. So I think our impact to inspire guys like you to become better players, as we know at Ohio State, but also better men. Kind of the community involvement. I think that's what I see as a realm of being a Buckeye and what it means, because there's so much to it. And so the perspective that you see now, like you said, as I'm older, is actually broader. You might not see it right now because you're kind of locked in on our goals and who you are now, but as you become older and you see it from another lens, I think you'll gain more appreciation for where you are right now. Well, I'm looking forward to a big year from you, man. Leadership on the field, getting these guys ready to go, man. It's on you now. Like I said, all those things that you kind of felt that, were failures in the past, let's turn those into positive steps to where we can, do something great this year, okay?
Absolutely.
All right?
Appreciate you, Coach.
No doubt.